Okay, so we are now live. I'm just going to give the chat a little minute to catch up here. So let's see what we got. Cool. Yep, we got signal. We have audio. All good. Okay, so evening everyone. Welcome to another RideTo Riders Club live stream. Today we're going to be having a guest stream with Kane actually. Kane was featured in one of our bigger videos. He was in Coast to Coast, so the video we did where we went up to Scotland. Today we're going to be having a little chat around his Guinness World Record Adventure Rider title he's got, and the riding he did all across the globe. So I'm going to bring Kane onto the stream in a second. I see the chat is active. Nice. Okay, so there we go. Got Kane up on the stream for us. So Kane, if you'd like to just introduce yourself, perhaps. Oh, Kane, are you still with us? Oh, there we go. How you doing?
Perfect. Yeah, not too bad.
Awesome. So we have like a couple of questions today to go through, and I think let's just kick it off with like an introduction of like yourself, like how long you've been riding, where have you been riding, and like we'll talk a little bit about your world record attempt you did.
Yeah, sounds great.
Cool. So if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Kane Avellano. I did hold the Guinness World Record for the youngest person to go around the world. Currently, I do not, but my good friends have now beaten me, and it's sort of a flag that we pass from person to person. But I held it for about 7 years, and it was last year that I lost it.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been riding for?
I've been riding since 2014.
2014. Okay.
So yeah, about 11 years now.
Coming up for 11 years. And where have you done most of your riding? Oh, I think the connection is...
Most of it's, I mean, obviously, a lot around the UK. You okay?
Yeah, no, you're back. Yeah, it's all good.
Okay. Yeah, I've done actually with James. We've done north to south of England.
Yeah.
We've done the coast to coast now. I've done a lot of riding around Europe and then the world trip. And now I actually live in Armenia, so I do a bit of riding around here on my little scooter.
Do you have a bike you're currently riding, or?
I have a Honda Cub C50.
The C50.
Pretty
Nice.
yeah. It's a perfect bike for the village life.
That's quite different from the bike you rode around the world.
Yeah, I mean, I would say similarly impractical. I mean, like the bike you wouldn't choose,
Yeah.
you know, like no one really goes around the world on a Bonneville. To mention that was the bike that I went around the world on.
Mm-hmm.
There's only been, like Ted Simons went around on a Tiger in the 70s. Then I do not know on a sort of modern Bonneville. But yeah, C50, it's a great bike. I go to the shops on it and I ride around, actually off-road quite a lot up the mountains and hills and chasing after sheep and cows and things like that.
Nice. To be honest, I'm surprised it can get up a hill with C50, no?
It's actually like, it's pretty mad actually. You think it's slow, but you feel really fast you're on the bike, it's like being on a bicycle. It gives you a lot of confidence to ride on like dirt tracks as if you're on a bicycle. Going downhill, like it's pretty mad. It does have an indicator. If you go over 30 kilometers an hour, you got like a bright red light flashing on your dash, like slow down. Yeah, you can definitely you can get about 40 downhill, I think. Okay. Kilometers, that is, not miles. It's pretty slow. It feels fast. It feels very, very fast when you don't have a helmet on or like anything.
Yeah, for sure. So if we're sort of talking around your like the big journey you did and the record ride,
Mm-hmm.
How did you plan that? Was there much planning that went into it, or did you how did it come about?
So I'll summarize it quickly, but I'd never, I'd done a smaller trip before my world trip, and I went around Europe. So I'd done the coast of France and Spain and Italy, and then I came back to the UK, and that was like a 5-week trip. I'd done that on another Bonneville I had, and at the time I had like turned down handlebars like a cafe racer. So it was pretty excruciating actually to do it on that bike. But I had like such an amazing time on that trip. I said like the year after, let's plan to go around the world because like I enjoyed it so much. And before that trip, you know, I just got my CVT. I went straight from a CVT from nothing to a full license. I didn't have a 125 bike actually. And before that, I'd never actually left the country before. I didn't have a passport or a birth certificate. So when I managed to do that after university, the first trip sort of opened up the world to me, and I was like, okay, maybe it's possible to see more of the world, and maybe a bike's the best way to do it. And to say I planned things, I knew that I wanted to do it, and there's some things you need to plan, obviously, like you need to have certain documentation, you need to have certain like visas and like tour guides and escorts in certain countries. But apart from that, I was like not planning it at all. I would just wake up one morning, see where I got to, if there was anywhere nice on the way, stop there, and just see how far I got. So take it as I go.
Nice. Is that the approach you'd recommend to most people if they were planning on doing?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got quite a few of my friends now have been around the world. And the best approach is just to take it day by day. If I didn't have a desire to, before I set up on the trip, I was going after the world record. I knew it was up for grabs, and Guinness was sort of promoting that they wanted somebody to take the record officially. So I knew like that aspect, it was going to happen, and I had to be back in 8 to 9 months. So it was quite a fast trip. So I was like, keep on going. But generally, if I didn't have that, drive to finish so fast, I would have taken it so much chiller. Maybe I would have still been on the road. I don't know. It would have taken probably like 3 or 4 years, which is like the going rate to go around the world, because it doesn't really cost any more money. It's the cost of your fuel, your bike, shipping your bike across the borders. But the standard fee doesn't cost any more, right? So you just make the most of it if you can and take it easy. Like whatever you're trying to get out of it. Maybe you're young and you want to do it quick to get the experience. Maybe you're old and it's or a bit older and you want to, you're retiring, you want to see the world and you want to take it easy, like different trips with different people.
Yeah. And you mentioned shipping. How does that work with a bike? Is that something you have to book in advance, or is it quite like
it's sort of whatever you want. Most of the things, if you can sort of charm people along the way, you can figure it out. Sort of where you need to go, and like depending on the time of the year where you are. So obviously, if you're in Malaysia, you want to get to Australia. It's pretty simple. It's like shipping any sort of freight. You just find a freight forwarder, drive your bike there, talk to some people, stick it in a box, send it there. You could be very organized and be hitting your schedule and know exactly when you want to leave and maybe save a bit more money. But generally, I would just rock up to an airport, call some freight people, and just get it shipped. But some things you need to be more planned for. Like if you want to go to South America, there used to be a boat that you could go through the Darien Gap. But obviously before my trip, I didn't even know what the Darien Gap was. And so, I ended up paying the price to ship my bike a lot. And I think it was on like New Year or something crazy. Like it was really expensive. But if you take your time, and before there was a boat, you could go on like a 2-week cruise on a yacht and you could just have a great time and probably pay the same amount of money. So, it's about how prepared you are and how like organized you are. And like there is a cost saving in that as well. But most of the time you can figure it out. Things are flown all over the world all the time. Just a bike in a box, take the handlebars off, squish it as small as you can, and stick it on a plane, or stick it on a boat if you've got a longer wait.
And if we're talking about the bike, it was a Triumph Bonneville, right?
Yeah, Triumph Bonneville. I always liked the look of Bonnevilles.
Yeah.
I thought it was such a cool bike.
Yeah.
Cool. It's just so great. And it was like at the time, like 10 years ago, cafe races were very popular and things like that. And, the Bonneville is a very good base bike that allows a lot of customization. There's a lot of companies out there, so you can sort of make the bike however you want. And my first bike was a Bonneville. I had that waiting before I even passed my my full license. So as soon as I had that, I was still in university. I was riding it every day, and I was like, can this become a touring bike as well? Because before it was like a cafe racer style. I had the handlebars pretty low, and then I got it pretty much like touring ready. Changed the suspension, the handlebars, panniers. It turned into a pretty good machine in the end. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't have that many issues, other than maybe my lack of skills that led to some issues. But generally, it was a really solid bike, and I didn't have any issues. And when I came back, I bought another Bonneville. So.
Nice. And would you recommend someone to use that to go around the world, or would you probably be looking towards something more adventure orientated, or?
No, I mean, you can go around the world on whatever bike you have. Mm-hmm. There's no requirement for buying, the snazziest, fanciest bike. Obviously, it'll make your trip a bit more comfortable, perhaps, but they have their own issues too. It's better to have quite a simple bike that can be repaired anywhere, and a bike that you enjoy riding or that you're used to. There's no point getting a big BMW if you've never had a BMW before, just to go around the world. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, so my bike was my bike. I took it around the world, and that was my plan. I definitely could have been more comfortable if I had the BMW, or if I had like some sort of, touring bike, but no problems.
Yeah, I mean, whatever bike you got is the best bike anyway, so you may as well, right?
Exactly.
And then sort of going further on to like sort of constraints of the Guinness record. How was that like? How was it that they actually came about giving you that record? Did you have to do a certain thing in each country, or?
Yeah, so that's the hard thing about getting the record. I mean, I'm not a very organized person per se, mm-hmm. but I did enough planning beforehand. I had a GPS tracker that would log like every one of my locations where I was at the time, and this is like pretty cool. Back like 10 years ago now, obviously you take these things for granted, but I had that going, which was like uses satellite GPS. But the main thing is you have to submit a logbook. So every time you stop, everywhere you go, there should be some sort of evidence that you've followed the rules that they've laid out. And the rules are cross the equator 2 times, I guess, mm-hmm. And go to 2 antipodal points on the world. So that's like 2 opposite sides of the world. I went to, I think it was like Ecuador and somewhere in Kuala Lumpur. And so those are the opposite sides of the world. So you have to document, I was here, take a picture, have your GPS, the coordinates, things like that. And then also people to back up to say that you've been in certain places, so getting some signatures and stuff. I was never actually going to go for the record officially. It's sort of, there's a unwritten rule, that a couple of people that came before us, they got the record, but to do the documentation is a big ask. And then when I came back, there was me, Rhys Lowry, and another guy that had been around the world. We were all young. No one had the official record. And then Guinness was sort of reaching out to us saying, please submit your documentation. We'd really like you to do it. But in the end, I think it took me about 7 months. And it was like a hand-delivered 2 terabyte hard drive to the Guinness headquarters. I was like, here you go. Here's 40,000 pictures. Here's like a 200-page logbook. All the evidence, that they would need. I don't think they really looked at it, honestly. I don't think they cared that much. But they just wanted to put someone in the book that year. So yeah, it worked out pretty good. I got the record. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
We've actually got a question in the chat box asking any places that you didn't go and still would like to.
I didn't go to, I really wanted to go to Vietnam, and I didn't go to Vietnam. And I think like lots of the stands would have been pretty cool, but probably if I was going to the stands, the Bonneville might not have been the best bike. I mean, most of my riding was mostly like a road warrior, there was lots on road. I did do like Leh Ladakh and like off-road in like India and stuff like that, but like anytime I went off-road, just the Bonneville wasn't the one. You know, I had like Touran's tires, which I think is like 95/5, and the bike weighs, you know, I've got like 100 kilos of luggage on there. It doesn't have the, you know, ABS and all the fancy things that you really need to go off road, like on a proper touring bike. So it's difficult, but yeah, I would love to do that. I would have liked to spend more time in Asia, and yeah, that would be my plan.
And sort of building on that, where would actually have been like your favorite place you went to?
My favorite place was Iran. I really enjoyed. I mean, you do the trip for different reasons, right? I done it to sort of see the world and to see people, and I was doing lots of couch surfing back when it was like more of a popular thing. Now they've like sort of shut it down. But couch surfing was really big in Iran. So I think in Tehran, for example, there was like 100,000 people offering their couch for like people to come. And you imagine there's not that many bikers passing through Iran at any time, right? So you've got the picket to stay with anyone that you might be interested in, like some cool people that you hang around with. And every place in Iran, I met like some really, really cool people. We had like a really nice time. And they were just so friendly, you know, everyone warns you the dangers of certain countries. And I had the opposite experience. Whereas I know my friend Henry Crew, who was the youngest person after me, and then there was another two people, just to say that he had a really bad time in Iran because the rules are what you make them. You know, some people tell you one thing, some people tell you the other. You need a tour guide, you need this, and in actual fact, during that time, you didn't. Whereas now, I would say a big word of caution going to Iran. I was speaking about this before, but I had some people come to my house. I live in Armenia now, which is the border with Iran. And I've always been saying Iran's my favorite country anytime I've had these conversations. And I had two bikers visit me New Year this year. They went to Iran, and then they got arrested by the secret police for being spies, espionage, and they are still in jail now. Still in jail. And I don't think they're going to go.
Saying this actually really. about this a while ago. Wow.
And they were the most loveliest people I've ever met in my life. Like they were just a teacher and a carpenter, you know, no, just really down to earth people traveling the world, collecting stories of, I think it was like happiness or positivity from people, and trying to go to a positivity conference in Australia. So, you know, the world changes. So you just have to make sure you have the right information for these different places. But I had an amazing experience there. I wouldn't change that, but just be a bit more cautious how things are nowadays.
Yeah, and building on that, got another question in the chat box. So do you still think that Iran is the safest way to cross into Asia, or is there a better route?
I wouldn't do it now. I really wouldn't. I mean, literally, I was the last, or maybe the second last people to see these people. Like, you know, they left Armenia and they were rushing to the border, and they just managed to get their visas in time. You know, there was like a really small chance that they wouldn't have made it because they needed like to get like VIP this, VIP that to like rush it along. But they're in jail. Like they probably are never getting out of jail. Like no idea. I haven't seen any updated news on it in the past few months. I mean, I haven't searched it in a month or something, but last information is they're campaigning to get them out, and like I'm the last people to see them, you know. And I had Christmas dinner with them, so I don't know. Follow the rules. That's what I've been told. Within the Iranian groups, they happen to be recording when they shouldn't have been recording. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to know the rules as well when you go to these places, because it's taken very seriously, even though you might think everything is chill with the wrong people around. I just wouldn't do it. I had a friend recently, he's still going around the world now, and he went through Georgia, and I think he went through, he took the ferry over instead of going down the Iran way. I think that's the best way to do it now.
Mm-hmm. And sort of looking back on your journey, what would you say the biggest mistake, or is there something you do differently if you were to do it again?
I don't know. I don't think there wasn't really like any one big mistake I made. Like I really like, for example, when things go bad, or like, you know, your bike breaks down, you get a flat tire. That was one of the things about Iran. I got like 3 flat tires in 3 days. You know, wow. Some might say I maybe should have had more inner tubes with me. Maybe I should I've known how to take that tire off. But that tire is like super hard to come off the touring one. But every time those like things happen and you break down somewhere, you always meet great people. Like I wouldn't change being more prepared and knowing how to do more things on my bike, because that's part of the fun. If you know how to do everything yourself, then you don't need other people, right? And places, maybe I would have taken like some other routes. Perhaps I would have liked to have done it with more time. But I don't really have any regrets about it. Like I think it turned out pretty good, honestly.
Nice.
I was rushing towards the end. That was probably the worst moment, because I told like, you know, the BBC and all these people to meet us at like my hometown, and I had to get from, it was like Malaga to Newcastle in 3 days, and it was really cold, and I had to wrap like my heated grips weren't working. Maybe that's my regret. I wish my heated grips were working and I fixed them before that, because I was dying, guys. I had my hands wrapped with, I stopped at petrol stations, I was wrapping my hands with tissues, then duct taping them into mitts, because after traveling for like 8 months, and you know, like it's no longer Gore-Tex anymore. And it was like minus 20-degree wind chill. It's something crazy. It was absolutely miserable. I was doing like 1,000 kilometers a day just to rush to the finish line. And I probably didn't need to do it, you know what I mean? Maybe if I give myself one more day, it would have been fine. But the funny thing is, actually, it turned out good, because just before I got to the finish line, I was parked around the corner from everyone waiting, you know, all the camera crews and all this crap. And my bike breaks down. Like 100 meters away from the finish line, my bike broke down, and it was unfixable, because like some spring had loosened inside like some location, and it wasn't making contact with the keys anymore. So the whole like key assembly had to be taken apart to fix it. I was already having issues turning the key, and it wouldn't always turn on, and I had to jump start the ignition with like a piece of metal. I was doing that quite often, so it would wear the battery out if you jump started too many times. But 100 meters away from the finish line, my bike died. So that could have been like, if I was like 2 hours earlier in like a petrol station and my bike just died, I would have been that would have been it. You know? Didn't make it. Yeah, maybe keeping a better eye on those things would have been good a little bit towards the end. But
did you have to walk it to the end?
I got my mates. I got some people to push me at the end.
Yeah.
So it was sort of like, I was lucky as well. So going down to the town hall, I was like parked on a side street, like 100 meters away, and it was all downhill. So I got people to push me, and then I just like rolled into the end. But it's not a very glamorous entrance, is it? Like getting pushed by people at the end. I don't know. It was funny though, because I was like, I couldn't start it. You know, it was really broken. It took me a couple of days to like fix it, and like, yeah. So I got very lucky.
Yeah, I've got another question in the chat box. So, what's the most underrated country you visited?
I don't know what people are rating countries at the moment, but I really like chaos, you know, and just taking the day by day. I really love India. I'm sure lots of people say the same thing. I think I got very lucky with Myanmar. Myanmar was really cool. I don't know if it's underrated, but it's a super cool place to go. And especially at the time, the border was closed, and I was waiting in India for like a month for the border to open, or to figure out what I was going to do, and I was going to fly my bike. And then it opened, and I managed to get like a private tour on my own. So I got to see like everything without like sort of anyone being there, and it was like a really great experience. You know, going on boats on your own and having like all these tours and getting to see like all the temples. I think that was like really awesome. Actually, the one underrated thing, this is the cliche thing to say, is, you know, just exploring your home. I didn't really explore the UK properly until I came back, and I done the Mali Rally as one of the marshals. So, you know, doing the full length of the UK, and I thought, like, I'd never had that experience before, doing, you know, the whole trip in one go and doing all these scenic routes, and having it well organized and orchestrated, and doing it with like great friends. Seeing the UK, it's as beautiful as anywhere you're going to go. You know, you might be in the Himalayas, but what like, it's the same. Just go to Scotland and you're riding around all these winding roads, and you see the Isle of Skye coming over the mountains.
Yeah.
But like the experience, like the feeling is that much different. You know, like you're in the Himalayas and you're seeing loads of mountains, and there's loads of mountains, and it's like the same thing. You know, It's nice to have change and all these different experiences. And the UK offers a wide variety of terrain and conditions, and anything you want to do, the experience is there. You know.
Yeah, it's definitely, especially if you're in the south of England, it's definitely worth like going to check out Scotland. I mean, it's on your doorstep, so
It's beautiful. And I lived in Newcastle, you know, and I'd never really ridden in Scotland until I'd done that rally, like a few years after having the riding experience.
yeah,
You don't
Newcastle's
really
not
need,
too
you
far, is
don't
it?
need much to do it, you know. Yeah, Newcastle's like a couple of hours away from like hitting some nice places, you know. But that's the thing, when you're riding day to day, you don't sort of realize like how close the adventure is on your doorstep, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the thing you have to realize. Like now I live in the mountains, right? And again, maybe I don't make the most of it. I was speaking to a friend today, like, you know, I'm surrounded by mountains all around me, you know, and people don't realize it. They've never climbed up the mountain in front of them, you know. And some people come here and they're like, wow, this is so beautiful. Like, these are the best mountains I've ever seen. Like, this is an amazing trail. Like, oh my God, you've got this on your doorstep, you know. But if you live there, you never like realize what you have.
Yeah, for sure. So how would you say the challenge? How would you say the journey challenged you? Like, was it challenging, like to sort of physically, mentally? How did you find that side of things?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very tough trip to do, depending on like how much comfort you afford yourself. You know, if you're trying, I don't, obviously mine was quite fast, and I had like lots of long days, and those long days are tough, especially. I mean, it wasn't so bad like 10 years ago. I was still listening to like music and podcasts and stuff when I was riding around, but it's very tough to be in your helmet for 12 hours a day or 10 hours a day every day for months and months and months, you know. That's like the toughest part of it, just being alone with your own thoughts. And I think when you come back from that, it's depending on what experience you've had in your life, you know. I guess if I'd done this young, probably had like quite a big impact on me, because, you know, like I'm quite young at the time. But yeah, it changes you. It makes you maybe more patient, to appreciate the world a lot more. I mean, you're seeing all the different cultures, you're seeing all the hospitality. And yeah, it had a really great impact on me, I'd say.
Nice, nice. We've got another question of how was finding places to stay along the way? So just normal hotels or anywhere that offers? Like, how was that? Was it difficult at all?
That was pretty easy. Like I say, things have changed a bit now with like couch surfing, because it became like a membership website sort of thing. But I was doing most of my traveling, I was couch surfing everywhere I went, either through the website or you know, just like friends or like other people on the road, like, oh, I've got a person that lives here, I've got a friend that lives here. That's sort of how I was doing it. And I had quite a few friends from like different countries. So like when I was in India, I was staying with some friends and some friends of friends. And when we was riding in North India, it was all like we got together and we all done together. But mostly couch surfing. I done a little bit of camping, but not too much at all. And then obviously if there was no hostel and all, like obviously so it was like couch surfing and hostels, mostly hostels. Like hostels are the best way to see the world 100%, which I think the older sort of riders, even like my friends now, you know, they've never really stayed in a hostel when they're riding around. But and like when you're in a group as well, it's also a different dynamic, because you might want to have your own space, your own room, and all these things. But staying in a hostel, especially as a solo traveler, really opens the destination up. You know, you're seeing people that maybe have been in the location for a few days, a week or 2 weeks. All the hostel owners, they're showing you what's happening, like where you can go, etc. And I just met some amazing people and had like a great time with anyone that I met. And it's also really cheap. Like you're paying £2 or £3, you know, in like India to stay in places, and it's like really amazing.
So top tip, stay in hostels.
100%. Yeah. I would never overlook hostels. I mean, if you stayed in hotels, that's going to be like more than 50%. It must be. I mean, and that's the thing. If you're traveling for like 3 or 4 years and you want to stay in hotels, like no chance. Like you better start camping or stay in hostels, because you're just not going to have that long-term experience. You know, very expensive.
Yeah, does easily add up.
Yeah. I think to give you guys a number, I think the whole trip generally costs about £20,000. It's something around that range. Okay. The shipping and flights and things is probably about 50% of that. Then like another 25% is maybe like accommodation, and then you've got fuel and food and things like that. But it's not that expensive to do, but it's not cheap either. Like,
yeah, for what you're doing
nowadays you
is
can work
good.
remote, like maybe it's a lot more easy, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And sort of with the journey, like if you was recommending someone to do it themselves, what would your advice be for them?
I mean, I would just firstly see if you like that sort of adventure. Go set out, if you live in Europe, go set out on Europe for a few weeks, maybe a month or two, see how you like it. And then if that scratches the itch, go plan a world trip. Just go do it. It's not too complicated. And it's not really that hard. You take it day by day. It's the same as riding in Europe. You take it day by day, you get to a destination. It's just forward travel, you know. And it's not that many miles. You know, people do this amount of miles every year commuting to their jobs. It's only, you know, I think like 30,000 miles. You can do a lot more. Obviously, you can do 100,000 miles if you want to do, but generally you'll do about 30,000 miles on the minimum end. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah. You know what? 30,000 seems way less than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, you do 30,000 in like a weekend sometimes. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I might do.
You do 1,000 a weekend.
I have easily done that. So yeah, it goes to show, doesn't it?
Yeah, just you add those up every weekend. You know, that's like 50,000 miles. Some people have cars with like 1 million miles, and you know they could have been around the world like 40 times, but instead they've just driven to work.
Yeah, I think the distance, I remember this because one of my cars I had was on like this kind of mileage, but to drive to the moon is like 238,000. So when you put it like that, it's, you know, going around the world doesn't seem quite as big, but
yeah, it's not that big.
What a journey, like.
Yeah.
A little bit better than a commute.
Just the long way to work.
Cool. So, do you think, this is like a bit of a funny question, but like, what is the smallest bike you could feasibly get away with doing this on? Or do you think you could do it on any bike?
You could do it on any bike, for sure.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the guy. There's this guy in Japan who's someone watching probably knows. He's traveled every motorable road in Japan on like, I think it's like a 50cc bike or like a 125. And then I think like 20 years ago, he traveled around the world, I think on like one of the first electric scooters. I think it was like 50cc equivalent, like really, really slow. And the battery was super small, you know, like I think he'd only do like 20, 30 kilometers in one charge. And he looked like he had a blast, you know, like this guy's like super chill. And he still travels all over the place on like small bikes and just has a great time. I mean, it's not about the bike or like how powerful it is or how far you can go or how much comfort you're in, right? His version of adventure is 20, 30 kilometers at a time, right? Because even every 20 or 30 kilometers at a time, right, like that's a different town or a different city, completely different people, different landscapes. So, you know, you can make it as big or small chunks as you want, but you know, there's no limit to the bike. I mean, as we proved with the coast to coast 125, very capable of going around the world. People go around the world on small bikes.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you can afford something bigger or you want more comfort, then go for the bigger bike. No harm.
And food-wise, because traveling around the world, you're going to have different cultures, you experience different foods. Where did the food you most enjoyed, and is there a meal that you remember?
I really like Indian food generally.
Yeah.
So anything I ate in India was good. Like my favorite dish of all time, I've had it twice this week actually, which is pretty unheard of. Just mahani, which is butter chicken. I mean, you get it in the UK as well,
yeah,
but
we do.
eating it in India, like it's another level, you know, because they have the butter ghee and they have like all the great stuff.
Yeah.
And to add on to that, getting the chai latte in India, it's just a different experience. I can't find that anywhere else in the world, you know. Getting the rich tea, and then it comes in a small cup, right? And all these cups are handmade by the thousands each day, like little clay pots, you know. You'll find them like on rooftops, just thousands and thousands of people like smashing out like pottery masters, you know, that's all they do. Like one guy, I think he made like 10 million cups in his life or something. And after you drink the tea that costs, I can't even remember how much it is, like 20 pence, 30 pence. You just throw the cup away, you know, the cup gets smashed and it just turns to dirt again, you know. Like, that's my favorite drink and my favorite food.
Nice.
Was there another part of that question? I can't remember.
No, I mean, kind of asking like, well, I mean, you answered it both as going whether there was a country that you most enjoy for food,
Okay.
and then what your favorite dish
I
was.
spent a lot of time in India comparatively, you know, because I was stuck there when the border was closed. And that was sort of a moment where like I didn't know if the trip was going ahead or not, like if I was going to go for the record because the border's closed. And the rules were, you know, if you don't have like onward travel on a bike, you don't get the record and things like that. Like you shouldn't really fly your bike over a land area. I would still probably have got it, but I just spent a lot of time in India. And I was in Delhi, and then I went to like Leh Ladakh. I think I was there for like 2 months overall, so I spent a lot of time there, and it was just nice being with friends and taking it easy. And the food was always like home cooked. That's the best type of food, right? Anywhere you go.
Yeah, for sure. And I know we sort of touched on like the bike side of things, but was there like a gear side of things when you were riding? Like what was essential to have, or anything you wish you had?
I mean, I was pretty decked out when I went on the trip. It's one thing I'm known for researching things a bit too much. So maybe I didn't do that with the trip, for example, but maybe I got a bit too obsessed with my gear. And yeah, I was decked out in like my Dainese, like I think it was called like D Explorer gear at the time. It was like the best adventure gear you can get. And it made it obviously a lot more comfortable, but man, it's like if you have your gear and you're going to places like Pakistan, and even if you have your jacket on, you know, you're just dying of like heat stroke sort of things, like 50 degrees. And every time I'm stopping, I'm getting like a 2-liter bottle of water and pouring it over my head. Like even if you have your gear on, it's too much, you know. I wish I had like something that was a lot more lightweight, maybe just like, you know, those armored vests and things like that, because I was always limited. Either I have my riding jacket on, or I have that with like insulation and like the Gore-Tex membrane. So there was no like lightweight option that I had. And I didn't have like, I had a bit of storage, but my storage was filled up with absolute nonsense. You know, I had like spare parts and like, I still have these panniers. They're on a bike. It's on the bike. Like it hasn't been, not that it hasn't been touched, but it looks the same as when I came back, except like I rode it for like 6 months in London. But the panniers still have all the crap in them. Like there's tins of tuna in there. They've been there for like 7 years, and like rusty tunas. Dude, the tuna's still good, I'm sure. I'll eat it one day, maybe on another trip. But like, but I wouldn't say don't over prepare. That's one of the advices I would give. Going back, like all these tools, like now I know if something breaks, somebody's gonna fix it. You know, this thing snaps. I think something kept snapping. Now that I think it was the panniers because I had too much crap in them. Like that was really heavy, you know. Kept snapping, but every time they'd snap, the holders, we just find the guy to weld it on the side of the road. Like, oh, this young kid, you're gonna weld it, and then you have like a little adventure, and you go to somebody's house, and you like make friends. So like, maybe it's good to carry a lot of stuff so your bike breaks down, but maybe just don't over prepare. You can find loads of the things on the road. Like even if it does break down, you just contact somebody, and they'll like ship it out to you somewhere. It's not a big deal, you know. Everything's fast nowadays.
Yeah, everything's quite possible. I think when you think you're going somewhere far away, you end up thinking, okay, I'm going to need this, I'm going to need that. But the reality is you can either get it there or you might not even need it. So
yeah, I mean, I think everywhere has Amazon nowadays. So
exactly,
you know, everything's global. It's not like that much of an issue. You know, you read about all these old school trips of, you know, in the desert and I'm totally lost, there's no maps, but you've got your phone nowadays. Everyone speaks English. You've got like translators, like all these other things. I think at the time when I was doing the trip, it was sort of the start of the switch from people having motorcycle sat navs primarily to like people navigating with their phones. And like that was the big, like having a phone for navigation was amazing, right? Like quad lock was around 10 years ago and all these other things. It was just like, it was just so much easier than maybe like the previous generation. If I'd done it like 5 years earlier, maybe it would have been a bit more tough. But technology is just so, it's everywhere, right? So it's no issue. You can always find help.
Yeah, and if you were looking back on the trip again, what would be like the most, I suppose, beautiful road you rode on, or was there like a scene somewhere you went which was just like you can
Hmm.
always remember it? Or
I remember coming back from Leh Ladakh, and the road was just, it had been like pissing down with rain. And the dirt, there was, I think, like an army convoy coming up the trail to go back. And the mud was like so thick. It was like a foot of mud, you know.
Mhm.
And I'm on the Bonneville and I weigh like 400 kilos and I don't have off-road tires. And like that experience of being absolute stuck and then I burnt out the clutch and like trying to fix all these things, like it was just a great experience, honestly. Like total chaos trying to rush back on the final day with all your friends, trying to fix things like mud, rain. It was a great, like, I really liked it. And then the highlight of that is when we got to the top over the pass to get back to whatever the closest town was. I went through like like the biggest pothole you could imagine. It was just, and I nearly got like thrown off the edge of the cliff. Like there was many moments during the trip where I nearly died, like 100%. I think, and 7 of those were in India, and I survived, so it was good. But maybe if I'd done the trip again, I probably wouldn't survive. I've always said that, like 100%, because that pothole, for example, was like the rim of my tire had a massive like dint in it after I survived, you know.
Mm.
But again, it was another fun fixing adventure. Just a guy with a hammer just smashing my tire in, and I was still riding that tire in London. You know, it was like, good, and you know,
The people you meet along the way.
exactly. Yeah, really, really great.
Awesome. Well, that actually ties us to the end of this live stream. So that's been really good chatting with you there about all those experiences. It seems like you've got an awful lot of stories to tell from it, which might be the best reason to do something like this. Would
For sure.
you?
The
Have
memories you.
you got any closing thoughts for the stream? And we'll go ahead and end it.
No, thank you a lot for having me here, Danny, and I guess I'll see you in a couple of days on a little adventure that we have.
Yep, I will be seeing you on
Currently in
Sunday.
Armenia, so I'm going back to the UK to do this. And if anyone's planning a trip, need any advice, um, yeah, just find out who's the youngest person to go around the world and just ask them instead. You know,
Just ask
it's
them
like a
instead.
chain of command. You just pass it along, and they can give you some advice. But if you really want to ask me, you can. But you know, my knowledge is 10 years out of date. So
Awesome. Well, it's been great
good.
doing this for everyone today. So we
No,
will
thanks a
see
lot.
you in the next live stream. So bye all.
Bye.
Cool. Super. That's all done.
Sweet.
Thanks very much for that.